First of all, I'm so glad whoever asked this question. This, to me, hands down, categorically, is one of the most absurd rumors I've ever heard about my life or my family, and I'm like 6 years on TV now or something. I have custody of my son, and I will always have custody of my son unless I'm dead. If that answers your question. Not only is it crazy because I would actually have to be dead, but it's crazy because he's with me 6 nights a week. Like, it's not even a little bit like he's not with me, you know? So, I don't know. I think people just like to be salacious and draw conclusions from things, I guess, from somewhere. And this is an interesting one for sure. I don't know what you're referring to as getting a break from, but like generally, no. I don't get breaks. Like, I feel like if I do several things, you know, like I have a lot of work and I am a mom and I have, you know, a lot of goals and I'm very driven. And I think that just equates to like never having a break, but I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Well, I think broad scope, generally speaking, I think people who are spreading hate on the internet, clearly something has gone awry in their own lives where they feel compelled to show up that way. I don't know anyone in my personal life, and I definitely don't show up in a way where I'm spreading hate that way. It's never crossed my mind, and I would never do it, but I feel very content with who I am, and so I don't feel compelled to do that. And so for me, I think it speaks to like a larger issue of like mental health as like a whole. But beyond that, specifically to me being hated on, I think I really challenge a lot of people's ideals of what a woman should be doing. You know, I think I encompass a lot of things that make people angry. Like, God forbid I'm articulate, can actually hold a tune, and motivated, and sexy, confident, you know? I think people hate to see those things combined. And so it's okay, you know, Anyways, it cut me off. But what I was just saying is that it's okay if people want to hate. Like, I think it says so much more about them than it does me. And I don't take it to heart. And I think in the industry that I'm in and want to be in and further my career in, it's par for the course. So it's okay. Hi, thank you for asking. I am pretty well. I'm a little tired. I was just in DR for a little bit and now I'm back. And then I have another trip coming up, so I'm like in the interim trying to order things and organize things. But overall, very good, very happy, very content with my life. My son, I point that way because he's napping. But no, Nico at school, amazing. He just is such an outgoing little kid. It was definitely time for him to like be around friends and like learn, like paint and like be social, you know. So I think it was definitely the best move, and he's learning more and more Spanish because he goes to like a little Spanish toddler program, and I think he's loving it. He'll come home and like talk about his friends and tell me all the stuff they do. Yeah. So I think he's thriving, and drop-offs have gotten better. Like in the beginning, it was very rough, but drop-offs have gotten good now. He'll be like, bye mom, and just like run in, and I'm like, you didn't give me a hug. But I'm happy for him, you know. I love this question, so thank you. Singing for me has always been a passion ever since I was itty bitty. And I know they don't show it much on television, but I've been singing my entire life. I have a musical theater background, and then I actually worked as a singer in China for, I think they covered it a little bit, for a long time, for 2.5 years or something, toured around China singing top 100 hits 7 days a week in various venues. Anyway, so to try and make a long story short, when I had my son and I decided I wanted to get back into music and what genre did I want to take on, I sat down with myself and I said, what do I feel passionate about? What makes me want to move? What brings me good feelings? What do I have good memories around? What do I feel inspired by? And when I think about it, I thought about bachata. I also used to be a competitive Latin dancer back in the day when I lived in New Zealand. So my best friend growing up was from El Salvador. Her family had a huge impact on me and my influences in the Latin genres. I just have the best memories with them. Anyway, so I have some great fundamental, formative memories around bachata. And I know it's hard for people to grasp because I'm white American, but I spent a ton of time growing up in and around one particular family who had an incredible impact on me. And I I've always felt really connected to the genre. And then I ended up competing in the genre and yada yada, blah blah. So for me, it's just something, it made sense for me. I also, people are like, why not sing in English? Why not do English music? And I am a lover of language by nature, right? So like I studied French in high school, and then obviously started learning Spanish, and then I studied Chinese in college, and I obviously speak English. Like I'm a lover of language and sound, period. And so for me, it is really compelling to push myself and challenge myself to sing in a language that isn't my native language. For me, it's a very cool challenge. Yeah, I'm not opposed to sitters. I think they do great work, but obviously there's Guillermo. So if Guillermo can't watch him, if I have to be away, then it'll be Guillermo. And if Guillermo can't do it, it's likely my mom or Guillermo's cousin or my stepdad. So there's like a hierarchy / chain of command that we go through for childcare. Probably like most families, you have like your go-to, and then if they can't do it, then blah, 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 you go down the list. Ultimately, if everyone is busy and I have to be somewhere and Nico can't go, I will have a sitter. We have like 3 or 4 great girls that we can lean on in that case. Because for filming and stuff like that, there are scenarios where like me and Guillermo both have to be gone. And then it's like, okay, but my mom also runs company. And so then it becomes a little more dicey that way. So we have sitters. But it's like if family's around and they are happy to keep him and they want to see him, and I think that's always, at least for our family, that's the best first option. But sitters are cool. I don't use them as much, but yeah. I have to be very careful about these kinds of questions. But I can just say, like, broadly speaking, like, relationships are very complicated, complex. Marriage is complex. I think people are complex. I think people's needs are complex. I think, there's lots of layers. So I don't know that you can ever just point to one thing, as like the downfall or the catalyst. But I can't really get too in the weeds on that. So it was when I was about 13, I started, my best friend at the time was from El Salvador, Spanish speaker. I spent an immense amount of time around her and her family and was completely enveloped into their lifestyle and culture. And it was sort of like borderline immersion. Like I spent so much time at their house. So it was like the music and the food, and they spoke Spanish in their home. Because my best friend was like first generation Salvadoran. So like her parents, abuelitas, like tias, and everybody else was like speaking Spanish. After that, my first boyfriend was Hispanic. And then I started competing in Latin dance. And so then I was listening to like, songs on repeat for 8 hours a day while in the studio training and blah, 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 blah. So it just happened. And then, I lived in Dominican Republic, which helps it get better. And by no means, I want to be very clear about this, by no means do I think I'm like a fucking gold star, 5-star Spanish speaker. I never learned in school. I actually studied French in school. So like a lot of my grammatical stuff is not correct. I think, I don't agree with this, by the way, but I think the perception is that is happening. I think maybe just because my delivery, I tend to be quite sharp-tongued, and I also like to be a boss, and I like to get shit done. So I don't know how that fits with other people's, expectations of like gender roles in relationships, but I don't know it. I just show up as myself. And so if people find that demasculating, I don't think demasculate's a word. I think it's emasculate. Somebody check me on that. Yeah, I see too, and I think it's great. I love that for them. I think we view our social platforms as very different spaces. I am very business-minded with mine, and I don't find it super relevant to post my toddler on my singing page. I also don't buy into the concept that posting your child often makes you a good parent, and I also don't buy into not posting your child makes you a bad parent. So, I also think, if my business, if my goal was to be a mom influencer, it would make so much sense to have Nico on my page all the time. But that's not my goal. So, yeah. I think this question ties really well with the last question, the last slide. And so I'll just say that I'm with my son 6 nights a week out of the 7. And I actively do not post him on a page that is designed to promote me and my music, because I don't feel like it's relevant content for the goal. Marketing wise, I don't think it's a good strategy. So I don't do it. Doesn't mean I'm not with my son. It just means I don't post with him. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Listen, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not an astrology girly. So I'm not sure the difference between like a sun and star and moon sign, if those are things. But I do know that I'm a Taurus, if that's helpful. Oh, it's not like a me thing. It's just how like our schedules came together, in both, including Nico's like schedule and my work schedule and G's work schedule, and this just ended up being like the best way to do it for now. So that's it.